Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs has labeled the calls by Taiwan's new president, Lai Ching-te, for improving student and tourist exchanges between Taiwan and China as insincere and lacking genuineness, according to an official statement from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Chinese diplomats have made references to Taiwan's new president as a dangerous radical figure. This was the response of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China to the initial speech delivered by Taiwan's newly inaugurated president. As widely known, in this speech, Lai Ching-te emphasized the utmost importance of a peaceful resolution to the Taiwan issue and the need for a constructive course in relations between Beijing and Taipei. However, Beijing not only chose to disregard these crucial calls by Taiwan's new president, but also went as far as to accuse him of insincerity and radicalism. To make matters worse, Beijing imposed sanctions on American companies that supply weapons to Taiwan, thereby escalating tensions in the region and undermining efforts towards a peaceful resolution of the long-standing Taiwan dispute. Therefore, it can be stated that with the assumption of office by Taiwan's new president, the relations between China and Taiwan have not only failed to improve or stabilize, but we can talk about a further deterioration of relations, with Beijing clearly opting for a tough and militant rhetoric. This indicates that the situation between the two countries has worsened significantly since the new president took office in Taiwan, in his relations with the island. Of course, one could argue that China's President Xi Jinping is disappointed with the outcomes that have emerged from Taiwan's presidential elections. What China would prefer to observe in the leadership position of the island is a more advantageous policy for itself. However, it is also evident that in China, they cannot ignore the fact that the majority of voters in Taiwan want to preserve the achievements and values that symbolize the last decades of the existence of the Chinese Republic on the island of Taiwan, which is a crucial aspect that cannot be overlooked. And a peaceful resolution to the Taiwan issue remains a priority not only for the residents of Taiwan, but also for their allies, primarily for the United States. As it is known, the delegation from America was in attendance at the inauguration of the new president of Taiwan. A critical component of his strategy for foreign policy will be to enhance and strengthen relations with the United States. And it is obvious that both candidates vying for the position of President of the United States will have a keen interest in this improvement of relations. Both the current president, Joseph Biden, and his predecessor and main competitor, Donald Trump, played significant roles in the recent US presidential election. Thus, it is undeniably apparent that Beijing, fully aware of the prevailing situation, could potentially opt for a more cautious and judicious approach in managing its intricate and delicate relations with Taiwan. However, the leadership of China is currently in a stage of foreign policy where they are not inclined to exhibit caution, but instead they are focused on attaining their objectives through direct and forceful pressure. And incidentally, at this moment, it is no longer connected to the economic opportunities of China in any way. We have a complete understanding of the economic crisis currently being experienced by the People's Republic of China at this time. This is primarily because the President of China has made the deliberate decision that ideological principles are significantly more important to him than the economy is at this moment. To put it differently, Xi Jinping carried out the exact same U-turn that had been previously carried out by his close friend and strategic partner, President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. The recent meeting between the presidents of Russia and China served as a clear demonstration that they are, in fact, strategic partners, not only in their ongoing confrontation with the Western country, the United States, but most importantly because they have the same approach. Ideology is of greater importance than economics. And if the economy interferes with ideology, then the interests of the population and the interests of the country's development can be disregarded. That is the reason why, when we state that Taiwan desires peace with China, and China intimidates Taiwan with war, that is the most accurate and comprehensive definition of the current situation. Of course, there is a dangerous situation, but there is no other international situation in the world in the coming years, and possibly even in the coming decades. The inauguration of the new president of Taiwan and his calls for peace, constructive cooperation, and a humanitarian dimension in the relations between the island and the mainland could present a valuable opportunity for the leadership of the People's Republic of China to demonstrate a similar constructive approach and foster positive engagement. Nevertheless, there is no trace of desire in Beijing's response to demonstrate anything akin to that particular sentiment. There exists a completely different desire, the desire to maintain the pressure. And I have nearly no doubts that the destabilization of the situation in the Asia-Pacific region will persist and carry on in the future. Similar to Vladimir Putin, he is attempting to comprehend the location of those red lines. Subsequent to this, his actual direct conflict with the Western countries may potentially occur. President of China Xi Jinping will also be conducting tests on these red lines and evaluating their boundaries. And as is frequently the situation with the search for those red lines where democracies are prepared to respond firmly to dictatorships, every error by the president of China or the president of Russia could potentially result in a significant war with consequences that cannot be reversed. That is the reason why it is extremely important to prevent Beijing from getting involved in this war, from being fully prepared to resolve the Taiwan issue through the use of military force. That's why it's so important to prevent even the demonstration of such an approach. And this demonstration has been ongoing for several years in a row. And it's absolutely not by chance. The new Military Council of the Communist Party of China, formed after the latest party congress, was specifically established as a council of generals who are experts on the Taiwan issue. Of course, not regarding the political resolution of the crisis, but concerning a potential attack on the island. This is also a signal that has become an important part of Xi Jinping's policy. This is the justification for the re-election of the Chinese president for a third term, which is unprecedented in the highest office in the country and the Communist Party. That is the reason why Xi Jinping must demonstrate that he is prepared for war in order to show his readiness. Whether he will make a decision on such a war depends on the Western countries and the preparedness of the civilized world to confront this clearly evident challenge. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, take advantage of its support opportunities.